So you mentioned that you can't live in the world without knowing who Captain Kirk is, right? And you can't live in the world without knowing who Princess Leia is.
Yeah.
And you had the opportunity twice to help build that character. So what I wanted to ask you about was, a lot of people ask you about, this scene and that scene, and your books are just quite often, and I'm not saying this because you're on with me now, but when I ask people what their favorite Star Wars books are, yours always tend to come up in the tops,
That's
which
great.
is really amazing. And I think a lot of it is because of the character building you did for Leia. How do you approach that? Because you grew up with her. You and I are on we saw the movies around the same age. You grew up with her. She's got this history. How do you approach writing what will be really molding this character for the sequel trilogy and for her for forever from that point forward?
I joke that the best thing about writing Princess Leia is everybody knows who she is, and the worst thing about writing Princess Leia is everyone knows who she is. And
right.
So yeah, it's a big thing because everybody loves her and everybody sees different little facets of her that they adore. But on the other hand, if you grew up loving Star Wars, I think not solely, but particularly as a little girl, you spent a lot of your life going like, what would it be like to be Princess Leia? So, all of it got to be preparation in the end because, I had thought about this a lot when I could have been doing other things. Although, as it turns out, this was all the career preparation. That's exactly what I was supposed to be doing, which is terrifying to think back on. But yeah, and it was just a matter of, or I feel like it was a matter of trying to encompass all of her because, don't get me wrong, I bought so many EU books. I love so many of them. But Leia often kind of got the boring parts.
Yeah.
Yep. She was at the Senate, and what was that dude, that one guy, I can never remember his name anymore. There was that one awful alien guy who was always messing with her, and those were never the most fun parts. And and I was like, okay, Leia was in politics, she'd be involved, but this is somebody who is hands-on, who is active, who she didn't like sit somewhere in a bunker and make little plans that she sent out to the rebellion. She was there with a blaster in the shelters. She was there the entire time. And so for me, it was really it was important to concentrate on that active part of her because she's not passive. Which is an amazing thing to say about a character that we meet captured and imprisoned, but she's not. The second they spring her, boom, she's back at it. And and think about what had happened to her that day. She'd been horribly tortured, and then she watched her entire planet get blown up.
Right.
Pretty much everybody she's ever known is dead, and she keeps going.
Yeah.
She keeps going. And so I tried to concentrate on that. This is a person who is going to try to act. And sometimes she may even act when it might have been better to hold off for a second.
Right.
She's going to be she's going to aim straight ahead at the problem every time. And that was, I don't know, I guess that's the main thing I think about.
No, and I think I love the way her character, as you said, the first time we see her, she's shooting a gun at a stormtrooper. Well, the second time we see her, right? Later in that same scene anyway. But
and then she wakes up from stun. What's the first thing she does? She sasses Darth Vader.
Right. Exactly.
Darth Vader, who is like pants-wettingly terrifying.
Right.
He's still got basically the equivalent of a head injury, and she's given it to him.
Exactly. And that's